Datuk Sri, one clear positive from the changing Malaysian political landscape is the fact that we now have on both government and opposition benches of parliament MPs with experience in governing the country. You know, that was seen during Perikatan Nasional's time when we saw PH MPs that did have governing experience, even though with just 2 years. And we see that now with Perikatan Nasional. And you've set up your own portfolio committees to shadow and respond to what the Madani government is doing.
Yeah.
So what is Perikatan Nasional's alternative vision to the Madani economy framework touted by Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim?
See, whatever that he has done, if it is something good for the people of this country, we won't against. We will never go against. But if there is something that we have to come out and for the rights of the people, for the people of this country, I will definitely stand out and fight for the people of this country. What do I want? What do you want to be Malaysians? Of course, we want to have a good, progressive nation. And to do that, we want to have an equal distribution of any wealth in this country.
Datuk Sri, do you view the subsidy rationalization drive by the Madani government as necessary? Is this a move that you support?
See, the point is this, you have to look at the basic principle again. And when I say it is a fair distribution of our wealth, you have to look at the basic principle, demography of this country. You have those people, top 20, you have M40, you have another B40. So, if you think that at the moment the wealth is got to be distributed in that manner, why not?
So you're in favor of subsidy rationalization as long as there are also targeted subsidies to help those in the lower income brackets.
Right, this is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
But as long as it is fair for everyone, it is proper for any country to have a good group of people that can create harmony in this country.
Is there any part of the economic portfolio of the Madani government that you disagree with?
You see, when we talk about creating a new wealth, of course, Madani government at the moment is trying to tell everyone going into AI to make sure we have good technology. Yeah, but that is creating a new wealth. But at the same time, I would like to see when you have this kind of distribution or this kind of wealth, the fair distribution is again, and I would like to make sure that the government is looking into it. You see, when we look at tackling cost of living, for example, I don't know whether you realize it or not. Rice, for that matter. Why in the previous government, since independence, nobody shout about rice issue. But today, the issue is so overwhelming that you can't even get the local rice. This is something which I said, something is wrong somewhere.
It could be climate change, Datuk Sri. I think we have been seeing weather patterns that are affecting the supply of domestic rice, among other things, as well as abroad.
So you think we have got no more enough rice that produced in our country?
I'm saying we have never been self-sufficient with rice production.
Correct, I agree with you. But why the last few years, when we have 65% produce of rice in our country, we managed to distribute evenly to the people, to those especially B40.
Okay.
But suddenly today, you can't even get that rice anymore.
Okay, so this is one of the things that you're seeing is a clear gap in what the Madani government is doing. Food security, right?
Food security is very important in this country.
So you say that Perikatan Nasional wants to be the voice of concern, to really express the concerns of the people like this rice issue. But I'm wondering if you're doing enough outreach to get the swath of the public, and there's a big public that maybe are not convinced by Malaysia Madani, but they also may not see PN as their microphone or ampliphone or their voice, because there's chatter in social media that they see figures outside of parliament like Kari Jamaluddin and Sharil Hamdan. They're doing a better job at being opposition than the MPs in parliament to make the grievances of the public heard. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
The point is this. Maybe our groups, like Bersatu Member of Parliament, we were not used to be in opposition. We do not know how to actually coming up with agenda to talk about certain issues and all that. Maybe. But you talk about experience. I think we have enough experience. We have enough flying hours from all our member of parliament. Most of us is actually being in the government before. I used to be in the government before in Barisan Nasional. After that, I was also in Perikatan Nasional in the government. And now, suddenly, I become an opposition leader. There are so many issues. We came out, we talk about all the issues in the parliament. Whether being resolved or not resolved, another matter. But we have been talking about all those issues. And I realize it has not been resolved. Especially just now when I mentioned about rice. It's not been resolved.
Okay.
And do you want us to talk about rice every day? I don't think so.
Okay, understood. So there is a sort of, how to say, adjustment period, because you say some MPs may not be used to being in opposition. I would say that you will need to improve on that communication
Correct.
to get people
Yes, I agree
see
with
that you have flying
Yeah, I
hours,
agree
even
with
if
you.
you have it, if they don't see it.
Right.
And speaking of seeing, I mean, rightly or wrongly, the public tend to measure the productivity of an MP through their attendance in Parliament. And PN MPs don't have a stellar record of parliamentary attendance. I mean, based on public data, the top PN MPs are also the ones with the highest absentee rate. Is it fair for the public to judge MPs based on their parliamentary attendance? I mean, I think you yourself, it's less than 55% according to public data.
That's wrong.
But that's, okay, you disagree with that data?
I disagree because I attended all the parliamentary sessions except for a few days when I was not around, when I was sick. And I submitted my MC actually to the parliament.
Would you support the public record of attendance? Should that be made public? I think the House Speaker has mentioned something about putting the public attendance on the parliamentary website.
I tell you, if you look at the history, when we were in the government before, I can just come out and tell them when they were in the opposition, they did the same thing. But it is not fair for us to use that as an element or something to be exposed to the public and say this flood did not come. And I mean, that's not fair, because as a member of parliament, you have other duties to do too. So it is not about the attendance in the parliament. It is about you fighting for the rights of the people. I think that is basic principle for everyone to understand being a member of parliament.
Okay.
It is not only your duty in the parliament, it is also your duty outside the parliament.
Okay, so the onus is then on the MP to make sure that they communicate this to the public and the voting public. Datuk Sri, since becoming the opposition, Bersatu has been the target of multiple corruption investigations, which you claim are in bad faith, including the corruption case against Bersatu Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. Even people close to your circle, they've been charged in court. Do you trust the judicial system to oversee a fair trial?
This is what I'm asking for. A fair trial for everyone. Because we, as a politician, we believe that it is a political persecution. For example, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, our president, Bersatu president, when we discuss about all those issues being created, to me, that's scrapped. If we were in the position as before in the government, if anyone in the opposition did the same thing, we won't bring them to court. Because, there is no, so far, political funding, there is no real law to it.
Okay, so that is where you think they should be focusing on, rather than political persecution of political members.
Correct.
Dato' Sri, you were once the former Minister of Home Affairs. Do you regret not taking steps to repeal the Sedition Act or put guardrails to prevent abuse by the state, to limit the ways that a state can do political persecution? Is that something of a missed opportunity for you? Or do you think those laws are still necessary?
This is all depend on the government.
So if it's a benevolent government, it's fine.
If I'm in the government, you need that act for certain issues, but not for, this kind of political persecution. And you have to be fair to the individual. It doesn't matter whether that guy is a president or just an ordinary person. If they are doing something wrong against the constitution of this country, why not take action against them? But now at the moment, I don't think it is fair for the government of the day. You just take action against the principal officers of opposition parties. Is that fair?
You don't think they're doing it based on evidence?
No. No.
Datuk Sri, there are no shortage of naysayers who predict that the end is nigh for Bersatu, that it will be swallowed up by PAS or implode as a result of internal factionalism. Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin is currently the glue that holds everyone together. But what's going to hold the party together if he's no longer in the picture? You know, what is your case for Bersatu's longevity?
It's all about perception. But to be very frank with you, and to the people of this country, PAS and Bersatu, we have an understanding. We have been working closely as one family. We would like to see the future not only meant for us, Perikatan Nasional, but for the people of this country. As what you mentioned just now, the perception is that we are just fighting for the Malay rights. And I think it is not fair also, because we have got our Gerakan there, MIPP there.
Some people would argue that you don't even respect your Gerakan and MIPP members. It's
That's
not
not
MIPP,
right.
it's Gerakan. They have raised issues in the past.
I'll give you one example. How many seats that we went for general election for Gerakan to be our candidates? Quite a number. The percentage is actually quite high.
But
then the people do not vote for them. Is that fair for us to blame the Perikatan Nasional of not having a member of parliament?
But do you fight for the concerns of Gerakan? They have raised in the past about rhetoric that they feel is harmful to non-Malay communities. That's something Perikatan Nasional doesn't back. Can that...
No. This is what we have already agreed to disagree on certain issues. And that's why we have meetings regularly among all the presidents and all that. And now it's for us to plan in the future what is supposed to be said by leaders of Gerakan and what is not supposed to be said by the leaders of Bersatu or PAS. Nothing, we will sit down and say, okay, this, and we will give back to the people of this country and say, okay, this is what we agreed upon. And the people can just say, why don't you allow certain things here and there? Nothing, we will change it basically to be inclusive, to make sure that everyone is on board with us.
Datuk Sri, we'll be watching very closely. Thank you very much for speaking with me today.
All right. Thank you, Shazana.